Hello everyone, welcome to Vintage Van Life. So, where do I start? The van isn't starting very well, and one of the things is, when I go to start it on the starter motor, it tends to go whoop, whoop, which suggests a flat battery, but the battery isn't flat. Because I've tried jump starting it, it makes no difference. I think the starter motor itself is the problem, because sometimes it will suddenly work really well, but not very often. And one of the troubles I have with this is, if I go to start it and the starter motor is not really working very well, I think it floods the engine. And if I go to crank start it, I have no chance of doing that because it's not going to ignite. Now, this morning I did a test. It was one of the coldest mornings so far. Ice and frost everywhere. And I thought I'd just use the crank start straight away. And it started on the first pull. And it ran for about 2 seconds. And then it stopped. After that, I could not get it going again. The starter motor was going whoomp, whoomp, and occasionally it would go da 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 da, and spin at speed. Didn't work. Starter motor, not a hope. So in the end, I had to drag start it behind a tractor, and which worked. But the thing is, I can't do that every time. I'm not going to be parked up at my friend's farms. If I'm on the side of the road somewhere, I need to be able to ensure that this starts. So until I figure out why it's not starting well, I might have to park it on or near hills so I can bump start it down the hill or something. It's like, why? Incidentally, this is a new problem. I've never had trouble starting this van in the past.
Alex, what you doing?
So the starter motor, I'm going to take the connection off and wire brush it, clean it up, because although the battery is fully charged, sometimes the starter motor, it barely turns the engine over at all. So it's just a stab in the dark. I hope it works. Now, I've cleaned up those connectors, so give it a try, see if it's made any difference. Sounds good. Come on, old girl. Well, it spun it over fast, so that's an improvement. It may be flooded, so I'll just leave it for a bit. The real test would be first thing in the morning. What's going on, Jolie?
Okay, so we're going to bump start, drag start the van with Trevor the tractor.
This is getting beyond tedious now. No matter how much I try and crank start it, it's not having it. It doesn't even try. It's not like it tries to go. It's just dead. And it's got a spark, it's got fuel. Like, what else does it want? So that's all it needed. Jolie must have pulled it forward about 5 feet with me in gear, and it started. It's so frustrating, but because the vehicle is so heavy, you can't push it, so it has to be dragged. What's on the menu, Jolie?
Right, so probably the most I can do, spaghetti on toast.
It's not just spaghetti though, is it?
Oh no, it's spaghetti hoops.
The food of kings.
Look at it. It's really nice. I usually have this cold, so.
Join us next week for Cooking with Jolie.
Okay, so we've had our lunch, and this are the plans. Now, I know we were kind of like, we take the Reliant, no we're not, we're going to buy a van, do this, blah, 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 blah. So, essentially what we're going to do now is, because I'm so short on money, I can't afford to tax the Reliant. So, the Reliant's going to stay here. Jolie has decided to wait and save up to buy a van that's really nice, rather than trying to buy something cheap within the budget. So, we're just going to go in this van. In regards to the problems that we've had getting it started, since I've cleaned the contacts up, the starter motor does seem a lot better, but the real test is going to be first thing in the morning. So I'm actually hooked up to the mains at the moment, charging my battery, so when I go to start it in the morning, I know that that battery is at 100%, and if the starter motor doesn't work in the morning, I know it must be a problem either with the motor itself or the connection between the battery and the motor. Or it would just start up first time and great. We'll wait and see. It's definitely a cold and frosty morning. Right, okay, so I haven't done anything to prep this, apart from having the battery on charge. Let's see if she starts. Oh, that's a good sign. Well, the starter motor's obviously working. Hey! I've just been checking all the fluids, the coolant, oil and the brake fluid. All is fine. Van started up relatively well, as you guys saw. The main thing is the starter motor was working, and as long as it does that every time, we should be good to go. So at last, we're going to Wales. It started up this morning, so hopefully it will start up now.